Hello, I'm Bernie Norcott-Mahany, and I work at the Kansas City Public Library at the Bluford branch and at Johnson County Community College, where I teach a class. And April is National Poetry Month, so I'm using the month to share some poems. All poems are in the public domain. A lot of them I found on a website called Bartleby. And the next poem is another dramatic monologue, this one by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Tennyson was a poet much in demand in the 19th century, in the Victorian era in England, and he was the poet laureate for a big chunk of time under the reign of Victoria. One of his poems, a poem called Ulysses, is a dramatic monologue from the perspective of Odysseus. The Roman name for Odysseus is Ulysses. Now an old man, so he's come back from Troy. He had his long adventures of travel. He's now back on the throne, and he basically hates it. He is for the life of adventure, and he really sort of hates it. And so it's his reflections. Some think that this may very well be Odysseus quite old, and that he is suffering some form of mania. He certainly imagines that in the poem that he's talking to his men about getting stuff together to go on another voyage. And some think that perhaps this is his raving sort of there at the end of his life, as he's dying. At any rate, it's a famous poem and well worth reading and hearing. So this is the poem Ulysses by Alfred Lord Tennyson. It little profits that an idle king, by this still hearth, among these barren crags, matched with an aged wife, I meet and dole unequal laws unto a savage race, that hoard and sleep and feed, and know not me. I cannot rest from travel. I will drink life to the lees. All times I have enjoyed greatly, have suffered greatly, both with those that loved me and alone. On shore, and when through scudding drifts the rainy Hyades vex the dim sea, I am become a name. For always roaming with a hungry heart, much have I seen and known. Cities of men and manners, climates, councils, governments, myself not least, but honored of them all. And drunk delight of battle with my peers, far on the ringing plains of windy Troy. I am a part of all that I have met, yet all experience is an arch wherethrough gleams that untraveled world, whose margins fades forever and forever when I move. How dull it is to pause, to make an end, to rust unburnished, not to shine in use, and as though to breathe were life. Life piled on life were all too little, and of one to me little remains. But every hour is saved from that eternal silence, something more, a bringer of new things, and violet were for some 3 suns to store and hoard myself, and this great spirit yearning in desire to follow knowledge like a sinking star beyond the utmost bound of human thought. This is my son, my own Telemachus, to whom I leave the scepter and the isle, well loved of me, discerning to fulfill this labor, by slow prudence to make mild a rugged people, and through soft degrees subdue them to the useful and the good. Most blameless is he, centered in the sphere of common duties, decent not to fail in offices of tenderness, and pay meet adoration to my household God when I am gone. He works his work, I mine. There lies the port. The vessel puffs her sail. There gloom the dark broad seas. My mariners, souls that have toiled and wrought and thought with me, that ever with a frolic welcome took the thunder and the sunshine, and opposed free hearts, free foreheads, you and I are old. Old age hath yet his honor and his toil. Death closes all, but something ere the end. Some work of noble note, may yet be done. Not unbecoming men that strove with gods. The lights begin to twinkle from the rocks. The long day wanes. The slow moon climbs. The deep moans round with many voices. Come, my friends, 'tis not too late to seek a newer world. Push off, and sitting well in order, smite the sounding furrows. For my purpose holds to sail beyond the sunset and the baths of all the western stars until I die. It may be that the gulfs will wash us down. It may be we shall touch the happy isles and see the great Achilles whom we knew. Though much is taken, much abides. And though we are not now that strength which in old days moved heaven and earth, that which we are, we are. One equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. So this poem has a lot to do, as far as sentiment, with the poem Invictus, which has the same idea of, I fought through life, my head bloodied but unbowed, and so we get that same spirit here at the end, not to give up. So there is sort of an optimistic spirit, but there's also a bitterness in the poem of a life coming to an end and the speaker not really willing to let life go. And that, I think, does sort of fit Odysseus, the way he's portrayed in the Iliad and the Odyssey. One difference from the portrayal there is he's quite eager to get home. He does not like, actually, the traveling. I mean, he's very good at it, but he doesn't really care for it quite so much. And it is really a poem about getting home. But Tennyson here is also looking at Dante, and Dante, of course, has Odysseus in one of the levels of hell, where his insatiable curiosity keeps him always trying to sail and discover more, and to go and to push the limits. And that is sort of the Odysseus or Ulysses that we get in Tennyson as well. So that's it for today. See you tomorrow.